This episode is sponsored by Battlephone.com, now with new lower shipping prices.
Hello and welcome to The Weekender. Excuse the noise. We have Justin's rapidly aging Casper the Friendly Ghost in the place.
No, he's never living that one down.
Yeah, so if there's any banging during this episode, relax. It's all very clean fun. Right. Before we get into some of this, I've got a couple of announcements to
I'm going to say this now. Be careful of the big arm movement.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Keep
right.
Safe distance from the table.
We did it. If you haven't been over to bc4.com yet, come across and check out the UK Games Expo press roundup we did, because we weren't the only press. Sometimes you might think that, but we're not the only ones out there. We have loads of great content creators and stuff out there that we love watching, and we've been watching through their content as well. Some of it is brilliant. So come over and check out the press roundup, where we have linked through to all of the other wonderful creators out there who were at the show and brought their own perspectives to it. It's great. Definitely well worth a look, because there's some real gems in there, and you might find other content creators that you have never seen before that you just want to stick around and give them a little subscribe.
I will say, we should be revisiting some of our UK Games Expo content as well over the coming weeks. Some of the stuff should be reappearing on the site.
Yes.
So if you missed it the first time round, be sure to click the link and check it out.
We'll also have some major announcements for UK Games Expo 2019.
Already?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, I mean, we've got some big stuff planned for 2019.
Okay.
So we're just in the final throes of just making sure that that's all okay to go, and then we're going to be making some massive announcements for what's going to be taking place in 2019.
Okay.
Right. Next week, the third annual Infinity campaign launches.
Yes.
This is the Kursk Crisis. Massive Infinity campaign. If you've taken part in the last two, you're amazing.
Yeah.
So we have the third one launching. I think it's launching on Monday. If you haven't seen some of the trailers for it, definitely check them out. There's some hilarious trailers.
Carlos and the Corvus Belly guys had some fun with those.
Yes.
One of my favourite moments of this whole thing, though, is the Kursk crisis. It takes place on this small island, and I overheard the editors earlier today asking if it's all Kursk Island, and is there a Father Ted in this?
Oh, Kursk Island.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Kursk Crisis, it kicks off on Monday. If you enjoy Infinity whatsoever, you will want to be involved in that.
Yeah.
Getting stuck in, get your friends together. It's a great excuse to play some great games of Infinity. Take a few photographs, stick them up into the reports, and fight for your faction.
Go hack a slam.
And all of this affects the background fluff. That's the great thing about the campaigns. The Infinity guys have been working hard on this in the background. I'm looking forward to see what they've come up with this year. Mm-hmm. So, stay tuned for that. Right. Celestial.
Yes.
The $10,000 invitational painting competition.
Yeah.
We showed you it last week. We have some more to show you this week.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a live show, a live Hobby Night Live, and awards announcement to announce the winner and to basically celebrate who we believe could quite possibly be the 10 finest painters in the world.
Yeah, their work has been astounding.
Yeah, I've been blown away every time the packages have arrived in the studio. And the way
I've had a heart attack every time one arrives in the studio.
You literally have to unscrew the box that they send these in.
So, during that live stream, between now and then, and it will probably take place on the Friday evening of the first week of July, I am going to practice not butchering their names. But in this episode, I'm going to butcher.
Again, we are so sorry.
You can apologise, but everybody loves it. I give it my best flair. Now, I have to start off by apologising to... Massimiliano Richiero, because I didn't get to butcher your name last week. I apologise for that. It wasn't on my list. but I have well and truly butchered it now. He did the Gagong Monster Oarsman.
Yeah, well, I called him
on my notes here, it's the Gagong Monster Oarsman type dude. Because we're all about the accuracy here.
I gave their names and I gave a little description so we could distinguish.
Check this out. So that's by Massimiliano. Massimiliano?
Yeah, Massimiliano.
Massimiliano. Look, Sam, you're just rolling it off the tongue today, mate. So, just look at that.
It's a very interesting setup. I love how they've used the figure of Nua as a figurehead.
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah.
It makes it even more disturbing.
Even the conversions that they're doing in these is just mind blowing, and that's why we this contest. It's just such a pinnacle. It's like we're weeping in here every time we see some of these. Okay, we've got some others to show you. So we have Antonio Peña Jiménez. Antonio Peña Jiménez.
I think
we believe.
Yep.
That's this one. This is the
Queen
of the Void. It's lovely. Look at the water effects in the ball.
Well,
the ball of water
if you
swirling
look
out
right
of it.
down in the front, there's actually a really cool lighting effect. He's managed to get underneath the water. Look at that.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
It's as if she's summoning the ball of water up from the depths, which is just so cool. I love the marble effect that's on the pillar, and just the lighting effects on the miniature.
The lighting
gorgeous.
is absolutely superb, and there is a great interplay of the different surfaces here. That very silky cloth, along with the semi-mechanical body parts.
The colors are incredible on that painting as well. We then have Ben Komets' entry, which is Twilight, and that's this one here. Sam, I will let you twist it because I got models.
Very delicate little model, and if you look at the eyes, they do seem to glisten. It's a beautifully disgusting.
This is on the head.
Body horror, yes.
Oh, their eyes.
Yes.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
You were thinking elsewhere.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yes.
Yeah. Altogether, it's a very well done model. It has to be, I think, the smallest of the ones we've seen,
but
so
perfectly formed.
Yeah, but the transitions which have been done between the colours down the legs is so smooth. That gradient is absolutely gorgeous and mind blowing.
Yeah, it keeps spinning it around. Yeah, the blending on that is just incredible. Yeah, beautiful piece.
Something so simple done for the base just works for it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, moving on. We then have Sergio Calvo Rubio, and this is Nua surrounded by water. This is incredible. I have never actually seen this kind of water effect on before, so we're going to try and reach out to Sergio and find out how he did that. You're starting to get into the realms of there's a baking show where they work with sugars and stuff like that, and they can do that kind of thing. So I'm just really curious as to how he did that. I think it's amazing.
I love the way it frames the model. I think it creates this very cinematic effect where you see the power at work with Nua. And Nua may be my favourite model from the range just because of the emotion with her face. Yes.
You're absolutely right with the word power. It does give that sense of containing the tide. Oh, so cool.
I've just got Deadpool stuck in my head. Superhero landing! Woo!
Next up, we have Sergey
Chasnyk.
Sergey Chasnyk,
I think.
And they painted the red Zerong.
Yeah, wait.
It's in a box!
We called it... I said it's red to differentiate it from the other job.
Now, their entry, believe it or not, is not the box. It's what's in the box. But they do these beautiful kind of containers for
this was just to keep it safe while
look at it. Oh man.
It's an excellent piece.
Sergey paints the painting of the skull. Just this one skull is better than anything I've ever painted in my life. And that's just one bit of a base.
I have to wonder, where do you get the little mini bots?
They're very cool little pieces, aren't they?
Oh, this is incredible.
It's got an almost H.R. Geiger style effect on the base. And the model itself is just these very bright, vibrant colours.
That rumble you hear is Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Coming through the roof.
Yes, it sounds like somebody's coming through the roof. That's just incredible, isn't it?
I love the bright reds coming up from underneath. It's almost like light escaping from inside it.
Yeah, love it.
Just a beautiful color palette that's used for it. Just very sort of muted on the base, and then just coming up into the more poppy colors in the actual miniature. Gorgeous.
Okay, so you can vote. So we have a team of judges.
Yeah.
Do we have the judge list names? Can you remember them off the top of your head? So we have
Thomas Menez,
Chris Handley,
Roman Damon, Angel Heraldez, Tommy Soul, Dave Taylor, and Ruben from Big Child.
Well played, Sam. So they are the professional judges. However, you guys get to affect the outcome of this as well. So we have a link there to a Facebook group that you can go over and cast your votes as well for which one you like the best. And then it's a combination, it's a collaboration, Justin, of everybody's votes and that of the professional judges.
Yeah.
And one of these amazing painters is going to walk away with the title of amazingness, awesomeness.
I wish I could paint like this
well.
because if you can look at one of these and say it's nice and it's 10 grand nice.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Again, this is why I haven't let anyone else touch them.
We have the new platform launched. Everything is now starting to settle back into to normal again.
Yeah.
Things are hotting up. So the engine rooms are starting to fire. Everything's starting to get awesome again. We had a little bit of a time where we just had to work very hard on stuff. Now we get to work ultra hard on stuff.
Yep.
Because we love ultra hard on stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
right.
We're now looking to the next functionalities and stuff that need to be coded in and actually functional.
It's not about that. It's about how you use it. And it's been a while since we've done a terrain challenge.
Oh. Yes.
And now we're doing one. Okay?
Yes.
So, we got the guys over from Foreground.
Yes.
And we will get yourself and the community nurse Lance in there to talk about the new terrain challenge where we all get to spend our summer creating something just cool and sticking it in the projects and sticking it in the forums and teaching one another. Remember, there's a prize for young bloods and stuff as well.
Yep.
But right, let's cut to the studio. It's time for the terrain challenge.
Hello everybody and welcome. I have been joined by Ben from Foreground, Kat from Foreground, and Lance.
You got
What the
that
hell was
all right.
that?
That was...
Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil.
Yeah,
Well, hang on, it was see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. Is that not
it
the
was
right
actually
thing to do?
look at a little bit of evil for me.
You like to peek at the evil.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Sorry.
Yeah, well, guys, welcome to the show. We have you sat down because you're across visiting us this week. And it wouldn't be a visit from you guys if we didn't get you on the weekender to actually get a little bit of an update for what you guys have been up to, what shows you're going to be going to. Oh, here he goes.
No, I was just taking him to take a breath.
So how have you guys been since you were last here?
That was great. Fantastic. So
Hi, Lance. Love your buddy.
Yeah, Lance and I were working together earlier today, which would have been on a live feed, wasn't it? And,
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting.
It was really fun.
intense, wasn't it, mate?
Was it the
Some
band
emotional
grenade?
trauma.
It was the smell of team
it's all
spirit,
right.
but they'll have to go back and find it, won't they?
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that.
But Foreground, how have you been?
Good. We've had change. We've just put out the new core rules for Fabled Realms
Yep.
that people can download. We've just got a load of 3D printers in.
Yeah, well, we've actually just got a message today, which is really good, back from work. We decided to do it via the 3D printer route.
Yes.
And the thing is that that's where you're duplicating your machines. And I know there's another thing we'll be going to more depth with regard to that.
Yep.
But just heard, I think on that one I said to you, we were wondering when the delivery of the 4 other 3D printers, and when I just found out today they have arrived.
Hooray!
So we've now got 7.
I thought they were arriving tomorrow.
No,
today.
They have arrived today.
That'll be Luke
And
today.
then we're just waiting on the long life beds for 2 of them, I think. That's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Wow.
Yeah.
that's an update for
Yeah.
people. It might be a but I don't even know whether that one's going to go out before this one goes out. So anyway, yeah.
Look, a thing happened in a place with a who and a when and a why.
Yeah.
This is happening
Anyway,
now. Let's
we're
get to
still
this.
moving on. Everything's going really great. I think as far as all the stuff that we make our stuff sell for the Kickstarters, that is at this moment in time, because this is real time this weekend, that is in the process of going out.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's that bit side of things.
Okay. Events wise, where are you guys going to be later on this year? Because I know you guys have been talking about doing a couple of big ones this year.
Yeah, so this year we're at Historicon, which is the 12th to 14th, I think, of July.
And we're both at that one.
Yes, we're both at that one. And then
And Nigel's at that one, who's like Foreground USA.
Okay.
And then it's you and Nigel.
Yeah, I think I met him at Salute.
yes, you did.
Yeah.
And then we're going to Gen Con. It'll be me and Nigel there.
And some of the American people.
And
too.
and there'll be some of the American team at Historicon as well.
Yes.
And we'll also, that's it. We're all off to visit these different places.
Awesome.
And we're looking forward to it. I think
we do.
Historicon's the first time we've been there.
For Historicon,
I don't think it is.
For Historicon, it's actually the first time we've been there full stop.
Yes.
All right.
So not even gone there
Foreground
at-
USA hasn't been there yet?
No.
Okay.
So
We're Historicon babies.
so we're really looking forward to that. It's one of the. It's a bit like Gen Con, there's certain things you always want to do for the first time, and I still very much like going to Gen Con. I'm not going this year to Gen Con. You're going to Gen Con, but I am going to Gen Con next year. It's really weird because as things grow and develop, you don't get to always do what you want to do. You do what you have to do. It's like with UK Game, we're going to be there next year. We couldn't be there this year because of the amount of stuff that we had to do
From the Kickstarter.
from everything else and get it sorted. And we're in that.
That and you guys had just finished up Salute as well, which is a big show for you guys.
It is, yes, and also, you're happy to do dual branding with a few companies, but then sometimes what happens is it's right for us and it's right for all of them. So quite a few projects sort of like pop at the same time, and then it's like, because at the end of the day, we're still heading up different things that we're doing in the company design wise now, even if we're not running day to day, and even if we're not doing, so it's full on, and yet originally it was. Especially with the three of us with Adam, it was like, what do we do today? What's fun to do?
Yeah.
And that it becomes a job. Everything becomes a job.
It's still fun.
I still love my job.
Yeah.
Well, Lance doesn't after this morning with me.
The responsibilities you have whenever you actually work through a job or in this industry is it grows and it changes as you expand. So definitely understand that. I'm sure, Lance, you get it as well, don't you?
Yes. Definitely. I do.
Right, now, before moving on to the main topic, you guys actually brought me a little gift, which has really warmed my heart. It was just, I'm so happy. It's sitting here
You want to thank Chris for that one, actually. But yes, we've made it into a product just for you.
Look at it. We have a little lynching gallows.
And of course, thematically, it's part of the Fable Realm dockside. So we've even got your little ship's ladder kind of staircase coming up. And
so pretty.
Is there a little thing on the actual stools themselves?
Huh? Oh yeah, there's a little symbol on those. I think. Is that it?
Yeah,
there is a symbol on it, but what is it?
I think it's actually just an X because that's where the legs come up through.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought he'd put a little symbol on it.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was a little 8 bar.
No, I just know it. That's called what's called the socket. But you're all right. There's a deliberate little thing. Oh, I know why. It's because it's 8. There's 2 of them. Yeah.
That's where they put their feet.
Yeah. I like the fact that
from the feet.
Chris screwed one of the stools turned over.
Yeah, it's little thematic pieces like this that I find really bring a table to life. So I really want to say thank you guys. If you want one of these, you can go grab one.
It's now a product now. I think. I
don't know if it's actually. Is it on the website?
Yeah, it's on the website. So
Okay,
if Cad can get you the link to that one.
Awesome.
Obviously, with regard to talking about what we're doing, so Fabled Realms Dockside is ongoing. It's growing and growing and growing. The Kickstarter backers will have had all of the buildings that were from Kickstarter, and then those buildings. So I know at least one of them, which is the Boatman's, will never be produced
as a kit.
For anyone else other than those guys.
That's cool.
But everything else has its schedule in our release schedule. And the other thing that is good to talk about just briefly is the fact that the release schedule,
Yes.
that very much depends on, we have to sort of like get it right. we will find if we can cope with the volume that comes through, we will bring something's release schedule forward. If we can't cope because it's successful, like we had a little bit of a nightmare with our Stalingrad terrain, I remember, because it was just like, what are we doing today? Stalingrad. It's just to go on and on. And
all Stalingrad all
we
the
had
time?
the same thing with Ruins of Daldor when that first came out, and it was almost like, how on earth do you do anything else? Because you can't gauge it. And with the best one in the world, you may guess that people want this modular system, but until you get it out there, until they play with it, and then it was
suddenly they want more.
And as far as our the people that collect their stuff direct from us, it was the same names coming up on the orders again and again and again, and so that was slightly problematic because quite a few things weren't brought out when we would have brought them out earlier. We've got over that now. And I think our schedule is pretty much, we know where it's going to be for the next sort of 6 months. So
well, I guess with you guys, whenever you're actually doing your work in the workshop, you actually have to dedicate this machine today is on this product, this machine is on this product. So I need to do 2 on this product because we have a high volume.
It's actually it
becomes Luke's job in that production wise, isn't it? Sorry.
Figuring out what the cycle's going to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Important thing then. The reason that the guys are here. I'll let Lance take this one because this is his baby.
Is it?
It's your baby. This was your initial concept, my friend. So it's all you.
Need to break that down to the fiance then. Okay. This year's terrain challenge, we are bringing in a new one for the very first one in 2018, which is going to be exciting because it's going to be using our new platform, the project system on tabletop. The start date is officially today, the 23rd of June. On this weekender. And what is the theme for this year's terrain challenge?
We thought of several different themes, and so we've decided to cut it to the quick. It's the end is nigh, but that could be you have come through an apocalypse, you are approaching an apocalypse, or you are what you're portraying is during an apocalypse.
Yeah. Or post-apocalypse? It
is post-apocalypse. So it's pre-apocalypse, it's imminently pre-apocalypse. However far post-apocalypse you want to be, or it could be during the apocalypse. If you think about it, also think about the phrase apocalyptic. So from the perspective of the people that it's an apocalypse, you could think about the Saxon invasions of Romano Britain.
I think whenever most people think apocalyptic, they think sci-fi, they think like Fallout.
I'm thinking The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. But we could think of it as the biblical sense of the swarms of cockroaches and
locusts and frogs.
But we could also think of things like World War II.
Or World War I trench scenes. That was apocalyptic as hell. Have you seen the re-landscaping that the British Army did?
That was an apocalypse that was involved. I mean, I was even thinking, when we did the other filming and then we went for a lunch break, and I was thinking you could do a really good, if you're thinking about model making and not wargaming, you could really do a really good thing of Troy sliding into the wall. Because for them, of course, that was their apocalypse. They disappeared.
Yeah.
And sort of like people hanging on. But
you could do Roman barbarians. The Celts actually sacked Rome, didn't they, early on? And that to them was very apocalyptic.
You want me to be boring again?
Well, you can.
All right, then. Well, you see, the thing is after the Celts...
No. I can't take it anymore.
Smells like something's wrong here.
Well, what I'm thinking is you could actually take something like even a concept from a TV show, like The Strain. Vampire apocalypse in modern day. Something like that. You can basically transpose it over any genre, any sort of time period, and actually just have an apocalypse then.
And an apocalypse. Sorry, mate. Go on.
There's a brand new TV show out right now on Netflix called The Rain as well.
I've watched that,
which is pretty good so far. It's a Swedish film where if the rain touches your skin, you die.
Is it sort of acid rain? But
no, it's a chemical
rain of some
chemical imbalance. Let's just say
viral rain.
But I want to move on as well because we're using our new project system on tabletop. We want to change the categories. So the categories where before was like best idea, best created, and best
executed was one of them.
Executed. And then we had a junior section. The junior section will stay. However, this time we're going to be doing something a little bit different using the community vote. So that just kind of means that we don't have to do the work of the judges. But the good thing about it is because you can get involved as well as the community. So the categories this year are going to be best idea, best skill, and best in tutoring.
Yes.
You may recognize those already on the project system. So when you create your own project, you want to make sure that it is tagged as Train Challenges, the End Is Nigh. That is very important because it helps us find the projects themselves.
Yeah. Now, if you're Junior Beast, make sure and put Junior Beast at the start of your title, because that again will help us find it.
And how old do you have to be a junior beast?
16 years or younger.
Just in case you get
Sorry, Ben, you're right.
So I thought it was 16 stone or over, and I probably qualified twice. 14 pounds in stone if you're watching it.
And also, I'm going to be making a forum topic in the painting forum as well. And if you link that through, link your project through, it means that I can collate them all, and we can just all click through them and see the whole list as they go along.
Okay, so we know our start date is today. What's our end date?
The end date is the 31st of August this year.
Yeah.
So
and that's when it closes, not when the vote comes in. Is that right? Or
no, that's when the event closes,
right.
And then we will maybe take another just maybe 2-3 weeks or so just to allow people to have a look through, because we will feature them momentarily every few weeks and so, and show them off. And then,
but I can't like it 7 times. Then if I'm like a signed up member.
I mean, if you want to go through the hassle of making more and more accounts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, no. I'm happy. I like the idea of the peer review thing. I think that's really cool.
Well, what you can do is you can actually go through each individual segment of their project, because each one of those is a possible 3 votes.
Yeah.
One for each category in each segment that they add in.
Mm-hmm. Like your coursework when you were at school.
Yeah, this will be great for the tutors out there, because the most detailed, tutorial style stuff, they're going to have lots of nice little steps. So if you're wanting someone, if you see something you think is great for tutoring, go through each of those segments and mash those buttons.
And a very good example is actually your project, Justin, because we looked through it earlier today. Myself
I did
and
what
Ben,
I could. That was my first bash at it.
Your project was a very, very good stepping stone to show people how you worked, how
the colours.
The minis you started with, and each step that you went along, you show in the paint. That's an incredible project to begin with. And if you want a notice of reference, go to Justin's. He did a very good job.
I also did the shiny syndrome thing at the end, saying this is what I want next.
Yeah, we need to see more projects as well from that.
Yeah, I still have one or two more steps to add into that just for the final detailing, but it's pretty much there. And
finally, we do have a prize coming out for these with because there's going to be 4 categories. There's going to be 4 prizes, and they are £50 vouchers.
Same as they have been before.
And you'll get a community button out of it as well.
Yeah, so we have up for grabs 4 £50 Foreground vouchers.
Yes.
There we go.
That's me.
All right.
Yeah, that's all my notes finished.
All right. Well, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, get your bits box ready, and you're off.
Yeah, good. But another thing I like about the projects is, Chris at work is always very much like making things and that kind of thing, and I think it's going to be great for anyone to put any kind of projects up there that relates to OnTableTop kind of.
I was discussing this with the guys, or just random companies in UK Games Expo, and I was explaining that the small model makers who create, like, say, Borrows and Badgers as a very good example. I was talking to them, and because Mike creates his own sculpts, I thought, make your own project, because people can, while you're working on it, people can offer suggestions in the comments, and you can work off it from there, and that'd be great for you guys as well, because you were saying that you don't really know what people want until they play with it, but if you put it up in the project system, then you'll have the comments to say, oh, I want that, oh, I don't like that, change it.
I mean, what Cad was thinking there was, you were thinking of, right, I want to engage with my media communication, but I can either engage in one of 2 ways. I can either engage with the way I play my games, and we get good engagement from that, or the other thing that he does, which is, it's quite fortunate the guys at work, they've got an unlimited cost in having foreground kits and things, so they're forever kit bashing. And I think this year you and Chris have started showing people some stuff, and then all of a sudden there's a massive interest. And so I think a couple of those things have already worked their way through. They've gone back to the designers, and they've actually made kits from them, which I know is another link to maybe another thing you guys have discussed.
Yeah, Kev got to his anything you can do, I can do better kind of thing.
Anything you can budge, I can budge better.
It's actually hard. You can budge something, and then to make it to reverse engineer it and make it into a kit that works is quite hard. Actually.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing I'm very tempted to do is possibly grab some Fabled Realms buildings and actually do build tutorials, because there's one thing I've noticed is whenever someone first comes to your kits and they don't seem to understand the idea of sub-assemblies within the actual kit, I would love to take one of those and actually take them through step by step and do a project like that with them.
That would be really cool. Not only that, but because the instructions are laid out in a linear fashion. Because if it was, but that's linear in construction, not in time.
Exactly.
And so therefore you don't realise that when you've done that bit, rather than stick that bit on, which is the next window, if you like, what you really want to do is go on to the next stage, which, as you say, once you've done it before, you understand that this is a linear story of how to construct it, but it's not a time linear.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's here are the stages you want to make everything go together properly. But while I've got this sitting drying, I can be building the roof while the main base is drying. Say it's like one of the little tiny houses.
Yep.
So I can have that built. Now that's drying. Now I'm adding the outer detail to this. Okay, now that's drying. Now I can add like chimneys, extra tile to this. Okay, now I'm back to this. I can get my door frames and my windows in, and we're done.
Yeah, it's good.
Sweet.
It's good.
And bringing it back to topic.
Yes.
Train challenges. We will have all details in the show notes description. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's
all
it.
right. Well, I tell you what. We will get back to the show. It is always a fantastic time to have the Foreground guys.
We've
here
really
in the
enjoyed
studio.
ourselves, haven't we?
Nice to have
Thank
Lance
you.
back on the show once in a while.
Mm.
We'll
Cheers.
go on, and we'll see you again soon.
He smells good.
Stop smelling.
And I'm back in my chair. Whoa!
Oh, all right.
Hello, Ben.
Then teleported.
Are you there?
Hello. Are you recording?
Ben.
I am here.
He's here. He's
Yeah,
here.
he's here.
Ben is on the screen. How you managed to do that, Ben? That is quite a feat. Right. Anyway. Right. So welcome, Ben. Right. We're all back in. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
Before we get stuck into the news, Ben. Oh, Sexy Furious has just appeared. Awesome. Before we get stuck into the news, I want to do a quick recap on some of the other competitions and stuff that we're running at the moment. So remember, the UK Games Expo live blogs are still up.
Yep.
Or still at least another couple of weeks or so on those before we announce winners of that.
Yep.
44 individual prizes available in those live blogs. So go and check out what happened at UK Games Expo, all the new games and stuff that were covered, and post your comments into those live blogs, into the individual posts on the ones that you want to be in with a chance of winning. Some big stuff in there too.
Holding my hands up, I still have a backlog of prizes that I'm working through. Don't worry, as and when I'm getting time, I am working through them.
Yes, so if you have claimed a prize, relax. He is on it.
Yep.
Yes. We also have this week a massive terrain prize.
Yes, so from the guys at Foreground, we were talking about one of their new modular terrain systems, and they are giving away essentially this size of a table's worth of terrain.
Nice.
Yeah.
For Necromunda.
Well,
It's science fiction.
Suitable
Yeah.
for
It works
suitable
for Necromunda,
For Necromunda. Suitable for Necromunda.
Necromunda, sci-fi, 40k, Space Hulk, any of that kind of stuff.
General industrial sci-fi interior setting
Yeah,
that
so
may be good for
just around wall
skirmish gaming
segments.
in a gothic
If
environment.
you're interested in that, come across to beastofwar.com.
Yeah.
That post is still on the homepage. Go in there and comment for a chance
no,
to win. How do you...
we had a specific thing. I don't remember what it was. You'll have to watch the video to find out.
Oh.
This is the thing. I created so much content with the Foreground guys, I can't remember everything we gave away.
Okay. Well, anyway, we have loads, and then, of course, we have the new terrain challenge for you all to get involved in. Stick some stuff in the comments. The end is nigh.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see
I'm going to
how
make
this
a
one plays
piece of
out.
terrain out of my ice cream van. Where's my ice cream van? Here it is. The legendary Warren and Justin ice cream van. There we go. So, and it still works, Justin.
And it still lights up.
And look, do we still have our little
Awnings,
little bit?
yeah,
Yeah,
they
we
work.
still have our little awnings.
You know,
Justin, in the end of times, man,
Yeah.
everybody out there is heartened by the fact that me and you will be driving around in our ice cream van,
Yeah.
keeping everybody up on Honeycomb.
Yep.
Honeycomb and Pooh Bear.
Same thing.
if I do end up running that Sins and people like it, and we go past the initial quick start scenarios,
Yes.
I will definitely have to find a way to give you guys an ice cream van for the end times.
Perfect. If you're wondering what this is about, this is something that has erupted out of backstage. Sam was on ejaculating about Sins and how amazing it is.
Yeah, everyone likes Sins.
Yes.
Have you tried Sins?
And we ran a contest, well, kind of like a vote. We each of the 3 guys did their pitch in the XLBS for an RPG, and they did it in proper RPG voices. But overwhelmingly, the community came back slightly in favor of Sam.
Overwhelmingly slightly.
So Sam is going to be taking us through an RPG session, and we're going to do our RPG sessions live.
Yeah.
We're going to do it as a live stream. Sam's going to take us through Sins. Now, the Sin, you're going to take us through the initial campaign, which is set as the apocalypse is unfolding.
Yeah, the introductory story, which I believe is called Dead City.
Yes.
Yeah, so they have this as your introduction to the rules. I've read through the background story, and it's not the best introduction to the world because it is the apocalypse itself rather than the post-apocalypse.
Yes.
But it does give you all the scenarios needed to get a handle on the rules, and it is a great way of finding... It's a very tense one. There's a lot of tension building in this.
Yes.
This should be interesting.
It should be. I will just state for the record, though, Sam, that myself and Justin have we have a pact. We're basically like an old married couple now. We know what's going to happen during the apocalypse.
No more sheep.
Yeah, we're not going to wait around for the ice cream van. The moment we hear the sirens, we are on the hunt for the ice cream van. Isn't that right, mate?
Your survival plan for the apocalypse differs from mine slightly.
Okay, in what way?
Basically, whenever the apocalypse happens, you're instantly out looking for an ice cream van.
Yes.
Yeah, day 1 of the apocalypse, I'm bunkering down for 48 hours.
While I get the ice cream van.
Exactly. I mean, like, while everybody is running around, everything's on fire and going crazy, I'm just going to stay at home, write it out, and then when it's quiet and calm, then I go looking for the ice cream van.
Do you know what? Let me do my best RPG thing here.
Okay, do it.
So, Justin.
Yeah.
You're in your little apartment.
Yeah.
Okay? Practically everybody is dead. There's nothing but silence.
Uh-huh.
Other than the noise of the crows.
He should be the GM!
You're hiding under your quilt.
No?
You broke your quilt up a wee bit to make it less like a cornflake first. And then you're hiding under your quilt.
Right.
Wondering, did the love of your life...
This is why Warren shouldn't be the DM, because he doesn't let the player tell him what they're doing.
No, I'm telling you what you're doing, man.
This is why you're a crap DM.
So listen, I'm setting the scene.
No,
you get your
choice. You set the
choice.
scene, and then the player has to tell you what they're doing. This is how role-playing works.
Yeah, well, let me finish setting the scene, and then you can tell me what you're doing.
That's not setting the scene, though.
So I'm saying where you are. You're hiding under your cornflake quilt. The noises are outside.
Yeah. Generally, a GM will ask you where you are, what you're doing. So how about no?
And this is why you're a crab role player as well, because you interrupt the GM.
So?
Well, then he's doing a bad job.
We will get there. We'll just cover his mouth for me, please. There. So, in the silence, it's just death and silence. You can hear the odd, with people dying and stuff.
Sorry, the beard is twitching.
Okay. And then,
feels weird, doesn't it?
In the distance, you hear the sound of Savior. What flavor comes to mind?
I don't know, honeycomb.
Honeycomb, of course! Right. So, Sins is on. Obviously, both myself and Justin have to work on our RPG etiquette. We will find a way. There will be a happy medium growing, Justin, and we will nail this. Right. So that was your competition. So, let's get on with this. Ben, give us some news, please, man.
Okay, so from one monstrous situation to some monsters of the far future, we're looking towards some really cool new stuff coming out of TT Combat for Drop Zone Commander. Now, we'd seen one of their large beasts at the UK Games Expo that they were showing off, one of their large, awesome aliens.
Ooh.
But this is a pair of new sets that they've brought out for some of the fauna you can introduce into the world. So this is all part of Reconquest Phase 2, so you can find rules for them in there. And this shows off both the Maulers and the Spikers. So these are some more of the alien creatures that you can find running around on the tabletop, diving into all the battles that you'll be fighting out. Because when you go and take over worlds in the far future, you're not the ones with. And these kind of things are going to be roaming around, interrupting your scenarios and all kinds of different things like that. So some very, very cool looking aliens coming out of TT Combat here. And it's nice to see them expanding on the world of Drop Zone Commander a little bit more, taking us away from just the main armies and looking towards the actual worlds you're going to be inhabiting and things like that, which is very cool. So hopefully more of these aliens on the way as well.
I'm sorry, the only thing that came to mind as soon as I see it is like, who brought the dog?
I quite like the idea of these because in the main rulebook for the games, they actually do talk about the Scourge taking over like jungle planets and stuff, and them trying to actually convert these into useful hosts for the Scourge.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see these, instead of just being something in the background that you never actually see, seeing them now. It's really nice.
People have wanted like kaiju-style monsters since Drop Zone Commander first came along. I had a friend who wrote up some actually pretty good rules for a bunch of monsters for Drop Zone Commander.
Yeah.
Just some fan stuff. So it's great to see that now supported, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to play out on the table. Are they going to be like random encounters that turn up in the middle of your battles, or are they going to be scenarios in themselves?
It's an interesting one, because it's one of the interesting narrative dynamics of Drop Zone Commander with the Scourge. Well, because the Scourge are in effect.
These aren't actually Scourge. These are the creatures that the Scourge are trying to actually capture.
Yeah, so because the Scourge are in effect like a symbiont kind of a thing, it actually takes over creatures. I was getting there.
Okay.
So it does open up all sorts of possibilities for huge monstrous creatures. I had never thought about the kaiju kind of option, because you can almost imagine the Scourge, because everything is so organic looking on the Scourge, that on a planet with enormous creatures, then basically almost capturing them, taking over them in some way, and then just planet dropping them, and then just coming out like kaiju. It's incredible opportunities. I never thought of that.
If I can actually bring something back to Sins. Sorry, Ben.
Sorry.
Yeah, there was actually a piece of artwork in there, because Sins isn't just like zombies. They partake of one another's biomatter and can evolve into massive monsters. And there is a piece of art where something very similar to one of those monsters that we saw there is appearing across a skyline. So...
this Sin thing gets better all the time! I didn't realise we were going to have, like, the opportunity for massive monsters in there.
Yeah.
This is like giant biogolems of some form?
In some way.
That's good, because in an RPG setting, that becomes all about survival. Because we're not going to kill it.
No.
There is no killing of something like that. It's all about how do we survive it? How do we hide from it? And it's
Warren, turn off the bloody music. Cool. Turn off the music, for the love of God!
I wonder, does he like Raspberry Ripple?
I think if he gets us, we might look like Raspberry Ripple.
Ben, on the topic of RPGs, there's a new kind of comic book, Rolled and Told RPG.
Yeah, so this is from a publisher called Lionforge, and they do a whole series of different comic books that are for all ranges and all types of different people and stuff like that. But one of the big things about them is that they love their role-playing games, and they wanted to make a sort of gateway product that people could pick up if they liked comic books, and then maybe go towards role-playing games later on. And so what they've put together is a comic book series called Rolled and Told. Now, there'll be a free issue of this available at San Diego Comic-Con next month, I believe. But then there's going to be a full release of everything in September. And the whole idea behind this is that it's a comic book with almost choose-your-own-adventure style elements to it. So when you're playing through the comic book, you're actually taking control of the characters and their actions and learning how they interact with the world and all that kind of thing. And all your choices will have consequences towards the end of the comic book as well, as this goes through the different too. So
so you're going to have to repeat that because you've whoa, slow down, dude. Slow down. We're having a glitch in the system. So so just repeat that last bit for me, man, because it sounded important and I want to hear it.
So I'm not sure how much you heard of that, but yes, as I say, they're going to do this so that it can be done as issues. So you play through them, and all your choices and consequences and things like that will play through towards a final conclusion for each issue, and it'll carry on from one to the other. And then they hope that, as I say, that this will be a little bit of a gateway between you reading comic books and then diving into some D&D and things like that. Maybe a bit of Pathfinder as well.
I like it. I it's the RPG stuff. Is becoming more and more appealing. I've been doing some RPG at home, obviously with the My Little Pony RPG. With the little ones, we do a bit of that. But Escape the Dark Castle, I think, is a great RPG. It's not an RPG, Escape the Dark Castle. It's how do I describe it? It's almost like a narrative 80s style. Almost like a choose your own adventure, but not quite a choose your own adventure dungeon bash. Okay, basically you have you have 15 cards, which are you're escaping from a room, and then you go through 15 phases, 15 encounters. So it's like working your way through an encounter deck, and then you have a big monster at the end. I change it up. Sometimes I just play with the 7 encounters with the kids and stuff like that there. But it's really good for a couple of reasons. One is they're really starting to get their mind around dice, different types of dice mechanic. Okay, it comes with custom dice, so there's no counting in it. But what is in it is each of the characters that we pick has their own custom dice that is weighted for the skill of that character.
Yep.
So the one of the things that they're getting, I'm trying to link it through to RPGs and why I think it's a great gateway product for potential RPG stuff later on, is they're getting the idea, that the understanding that each of their characters has a skill set, and has a skill set that it not only makes them different from the other character, but at times complements the other character, that they can come to the aid of another character and act as a support character to it. And I think that's really important, because RPGs, yes, they are about your character, but often they're about they should be about your interaction of your character with the other characters. That's an RPG at its best. How can you play and support, and how can you mix the strengths and things of characters. The other thing it does is it gives me the opportunity to narrate. Which is hilarious, because my 3-year-old loves it and gets excited and starts going, oh, like he's going to punch whatever it is that's there. My 7-year-old Savannah just sits there completely enamored, because she is Harry Potter and everything going on in her mind. It just comes to life completely in her mind. And then Manny, my 5-year-old, runs to his mother every time. It is just brilliant, because it takes you right back. If you've never played it, if you have kids, or if you just want a game that is a lot of fun for you and your mates it's an easy game to get into. There's no setup to this. It's just fast, and you get into it and you get stuck in for a bit of a laugh. But if you can remember back to your Fighting Fantasy days when you opened it up at the page of the Blood Beast, it's
which one?
I can't remember which one. I think it's Death Trap Dungeon has the Blood Beast in it.
No, we don't have that one, sorry.
But the Blood Beast is the...
it's a good one.
Well, the Blood Beast... Well, I can't just pick one at random. But the Blood Beast was this kind of fleshy, scaly dog-looking creature with the biggest maw of sharp teeth you've ever seen, and hundreds of eyes. And you as a kid, you're looking like, whoa, just that scary moment. We get that every time, because none of us can resist letting Manny open the door to the next room, and he has to turn over the card, and you just see the wee hand going in and the shake of the wee hand, and then he turns it over and he runs. It's brilliant. So all of this sense of getting drawn into the game, I think just builds on the whole RPG side. And comic books could be a great way to do that as well.
I'm actually going to say that could be a great way to move someone from card gaming or board gaming that they're more used to, towards a dungeon delving role playing session. In the same way that Rolled and Told seems to bring people over from their love of a comic book medium into the role-playing side of things. And you did used to see that more with licensed games, especially with things like, what was it? The Marvel RPG.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a really good one. Brought a lot of people into RPG.
I'm all up for hybridization
Yeah.
that's taking place in the industry over this last while. And any kind of crossovers, I think, are really cool. Because, at the end of the day, we're all geeks. We all love these kinds of things. And we all look at what the other geeks are doing and think, I'd quite like to get into that. And these kinds of crossovers, these kinds of gateways, they're just great means for us to just gel and become a big fleshy mash of tabletop.
And we're back into Sims.
Right. The show's been heavily about the end of time.
Yeah.
In another post-apocalyptic kind of a world, the world of 2000 AD, we have the Strontium Dog announcement from Warlord Games, Ben.
Yeah, so I'm going to just preface this by saying I know nothing about Strontium Dog, and I know barely anything about 2000 AD. All I know is Judge Dredd is a thing. But yes, this has apparently gone down very, very well with everybody else on the internet, because obviously Warlord Games did have the Judge Dredd miniatures game a couple of years ago, and that sort of faded away, and it's going to be replaced by this one coming up, which is Strontium Dog. They're going to be bringing out, I think it's around September, and you'll be able to get stuck into a lot of demos and stuff over the next couple of months, learning about a little bit more. And then one of the other big things about this is that it's going to be skirmish based as well on the tabletop.
Yes, Ben.
Okay.
Yeah, the system hates you today, Ben.
There is a ghost in the machine. It's because I'm talking about something I don't know anything about.
So
yeah.
so have a crack at your last two sentences, man.
But yes, so as I say, the game's going to be skirmish-based, gang-based, a little bit like the original one, but it's going to be with a new tweak and lots of new mechanics thrown into there as well. The other thing that's coming through with this is that they're going to be looking at some new miniatures for it as well. So there should be a link to showing off some of the new miniatures they're working on, because obviously things have gone a long way since Foundry and all the other old miniatures that we used to be seeing for the game.
Yeah.
So yes, they've got new miniatures and stuff coming this way. Lots of stuff coming towards the end of the year. There's going to be loads of miniature previews over the next couple of months. There's demo games and everything like that as well coming too. So obviously, Warlord Games very, very good at making their game systems work very nicely on the tabletop. So it'll be nice to see how it works with this skirmish format too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All I know about Strontium Dog is I've been told it's the dog's bollocks.
I know a little bit, mostly because I'm more a Judge Dredd fan. I've read a few Judge Dredd. My dad had like the first issue of 2000 AD ever, and he still kicks himself that he didn't keep it.
Oh,
I was going to ask if he still had it.
yeah.
No, but I love Judge Dredd. I know a little of Strontium Dog because I wikied it before we covered it onto this.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, so
Proper journalist here.
So hang on. This could be completely wrong. I'm going to preface that right now.
Yeah. So, as far as I know, Strontium Dog is a mutant bounty hunter from the far future, played by Jimmy Nesbitt, who went to see the Queen. There we might be hitting Wikipedia edits on those last two.
Okay, possibly, yes.
The whole thing is it's the far future. It's after Judge Dredd, although they have had crossovers in the past. And he is a bounty hunter. I think his name is Johnny Alpha, the main character, because 2000 AD is just the purest pulp you can imagine. It's glorious, and he is a mutant called an SD, nicknamed the Strontium Dogs, and his mutant ability is his eyes can see through walls and solid objects, occasionally read thoughts.
Look, mine is reading thoughts, and I can read that you want to see through walls, so it's like lovely.
Yeah,
very nice.
Runs around with a Viking with a Viking friend.
Oh, this is just all kinds of awesome. This is just all kinds of awesome.
Just a Viking from our own history who has been brought into the future and now works as a Strontium Dog.
A Viking Strontium Dog. Right, we will be bringing you more on that as we hear it.
I may have to hunt down one or two of these comics.
Absolutely.
He's gone back in time and arrested Hitler.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Really.
Okay. Sold. Absolutely sold. We will be checking this out.
You see you. Enough mucking about. Come on. No, you're under arrest. You're coming with me.
You're coming with me.
I think he's from Milton Keynes, something like that. No. He's not from Milton Keynes. Milton Keynes is a mutant ghetto.
Okay, right. He's from Milton Keynes. Oh, cool. Right. Okay. We have another RPG that we're going to talk about. This is Modern AGE, Modern Age by Green Ronin. Ben, what can you tell us about this one, man?
Yeah, so this is a system that's been designed by Green Ronin. It's based on the similar adventure dice system, it's called, from what they used in Fantasy Age, and previous to that, the licensed Dragon Age role-playing game as well.
Yeah.
It's very, very simple. You roll 3 dice, and then that's the score you get for your tests. There's always a different colored dice within the 3 of them, and that allows you to do stunts if you get doubles on the dice.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very good narrative tool for people that don't really know a lot about explaining moves like that. Modern Age is their new take on it. It's completely setting sort of, I guess you'd say. So it can work with anything that you want it to. So it can work in cyberpunk or pure or ultra sci-fi. It can work in just the modern day as well if you want it to as well.
Yeah.
But yes, they do have their own setting as well, which is pretty cool. Which is one you can get with the quick start rules for this, which is nice. But yes, this is a new one from Green Ronin, which uses a very, very simple and easy to learn dice system. Very, very good for new gamers getting into role-playing games. These, as I say, that narrative aspect of this and the stunt system means that you've got some really cool ideas happening just because of the game mechanics as you sit down at the tabletop. And then as you graduate a little bit further, you'll start to use the stunts in a very different way, and you'll learn to explain your own actions as well, which is very cool. I will say that it's a little bit grindy. So you need to have a DM that is willing to kind of like up the tension or up the lethality a little bit of some of the fights later on as you start to level up. But that was definitely something that was a case with Fantasy Age anyway. It might have been cleaned up a little bit more in Modern Age. But yes, a very cool game that if you want to get stuck into something that's a little bit less specific on its setting, and you just want to learn to role play and explain your sort of like that narrative side of gaming as well.
Yeah,
that's a very good focus for the game to take, because quite often you will find new role players, and I know I did this when I first started, but then my intro was D&D 4th edition, not a great introduction.
Yeah.
But you will find a lot of role players when they're starting out will be like, I make a brawl check, rather than describing the action they want to take, rather than say, I run up and punch this person in the face.
Yeah.
They will say, I make this check. So having something that can introduce that side of the RPG experience is a really good idea.
Yeah, and it's not just tied into the like martial, like fighting side of things as well. They've also got stunt tables for exploration and social encounters as well. So there's things that can happen to sort of add a little more of a narrative cue to what you're doing when you're just looking around searching for stuff in an environment, or like in a battle of wits with another character as well. So it's been very well handled, and it works very nicely. I actually ran a really, really long campaign set in the Dragon Age universe using their first rule system that they did, and it was very, very good. All my players really, really enjoyed it. A couple of them were very new to role-playing games, and they thought it was fantastic. Veterans as well, and they really got into the mix of it as well. So yeah,
so good for newbies and veterans, then, yeah.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Yep. He's basically turned into Bruce Lee.
No,
fight me.
no. I think he's more Max Headroom right now.
Well, I tell you what, I'd love to do with this particular system.
Yes.
I'd love to take, say, like a favorite movie franchise or something, and use that as the scenario to drop my players into.
Yeah.
So imagine having a group of like 4 friends role playing through the Die Hard movies.
Yes, I knew Die Hard was going to come up in this. Yeah, but that's okay.
That would be perfect for it, though, because that would be a great way to do it, because it gives you a familiar setting that your players kind of already know what's going on. Yeah. So they're not trying to think outside the box too much.
I think Die Hard would actually be the worst one for that, because the whole point of that is that it's one guy.
Yeah, but having that kind of a scenario, not actually Die Hard, but that scenario.
Yes.
You are in a building, it has been taken over by a hostile group. You guys have got away from being...
I know how to do the Die Hard one. Yeah. You take the Solomon Kane approach. You're playing the thing that influencing.
Yes, this is how we would do it. The Solomon Kane approach would be genius for this, right? So, so you would play Bruce Willis's left arm. I would play Bruce Willis's...
I don't think that's how the Solomon Kane game works.
Yeah, I wonder, would I play...
No, you wouldn't play that.
Okay, I'd play the left leg.
No, I get what Sam's saying.
Then it's turning into everyone is John again.
Yeah,
but I think, alright, pick a movie that you would actually use this for, like a modern day movie that you think you could set a group down to and have them role play through and have fun with.
The Goonies.
Yep, that would be perfect.
I think the Goonies. I would play as a bunch of kids on a treasure hunt of some sort.
I know what it would be for hyper sci-fi. Guardians of the Galaxy. You've got a perfect party set up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could do something along the lines of Ready Player One with this system.
I don't know.
Each of you play one of the Gunters trying to find Hadley's egg.
Yeah.
Or Halliday's egg. Sorry.
Okay, Ben, have you got a movie franchise that?
Well, generally, looking back to one of the ones that was from Netflix, if you wanted to take the world of Bright and actually do something with the universe,
yes,
that'd be good.
You could do something set in the world of Bright. So
Bright would be very cool.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed Bright. Now, Bright was a little bit slow, but Bright had a lot of promise. I've got to say.
I say
the world
they are
was
making another one.
fantastic for that,
Yeah.
but the movie was terrible.
Yes, exactly. I agree exactly with Ben. I enjoy watching it because of the promise of the world.
Yes,
but it squanders its promise.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
The movie is not great.
But they are making a second one.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that they will actually hand this to some proper script writers.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to know my biggest gripe? At the end of the movie, it shows you a dragon flying across the city.
That was midway through.
Was it?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I thought it was at the end.
You probably were like me and fell asleep at
Yeah.
that point. I was like,
Yeah, but it was seeing a dragon flying across the city. It's just like, how is this not a major plot point?
Yeah.
There are dragons. Why?
So modern age, can you just apply it to movies? Like, could we apply it to The Lost Boys? And I know I'm pulling out stuff to the 80s, but
it's entirely classless as well as a system. So it's based pretty much on your own interpretation of how you want your characters to work. So like, if you wanted to set it, as I said, it's setting like free. So you can set it into any kind of modern, ultra-modern style that you want it to. You can include it includes rules for magic and psychic powers as well. So you can have all this be like something like a supernatural or something like that. So you can have people running around hunting down monsters in that sense as well. It's a very cool sort of open system to use. It's kind of, as I say, it's like what they did with the Fantasy Age system, where it was setting free as well there. So you could set it in any fantasy world you wanted to work it through. So,
you could do it with Altered Carbon.
There was a spate of movies in that time, like The Goonies, The Lost Boys, and stuff. Which
Squad.
Monster Squad's another one. Where it was groups of kids, and these are movies that have had influence on my tastes and likes. If you're going for the more scary, I think probably one of the most terrifying movies, certainly as a kid for me, was Salem's Lot.
I've still not seen that. I really want to read the book.
Utterly terrified me. Not as much as The Exorcist. The Exorcist broke me, but Salem's Lot did terrify me. The whole vampires in 1970s wearing flares is terrifying to me on so many levels. It is just terrifying to me.
Do Ghostbusters.
You could do Ghostbusters.
But
there is a Ghostbusters RPG.
The thing about Ghostbusters, though, is
okay.
I often think that the Ghostbusters movie is misunderstood. Certainly, the new Ghostbusters movie felt like they actually misunderstood what Ghostbusters was about. Ghostbusters was actually... It's a movie about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's the comedy and the ghosts and everything there. It's a movie about entrepreneurship. It's a movie about the American dream.
Yeah, we're setting up this business, but it has to be a business.
It's a pure American dream movie.
I like this the idea that the great depictions of the American dream from American culture, The Great Gatsby, Ghostbusters.
Well, let me put it to you this way, right? The Wolf of Wall Street has more in common with the original Ghostbusters movie than the last Ghostbusters movie has with the original.
I haven't seen either of those movies, so I can't
And The
say.
Wolf of Wall Street is a fantastic show.
Yeah, it's because there's more in common with the vibe there than there is connecting it to its actual sequels.
Makes perfect sense.
So it's right. Last bit of news. We've got to get a bit of Star Wars and terrain into this,
of course,
and we got to combine them into one story. Ben, Plas Craft, what are they up to?
Yeah, so the guys at Plas Craft have actually put together a new set of sci-fi terrain that is themed towards the likes of Star Wars Legion and Warpath and all those kind of things as well. So yes, this is their new set of terrain. As I say, it's called Color Ed. So this is all the stuff that is completely freely colored straight at the beginning. Yeah. All you got to do is put it together and it's ready to go. So yeah, it's very, very nice and simple and easy to use. They've got a whole bunch of different pieces, as you can see here, looking through this the post there. As I say in the post, It's very much akin to the kind of look that we got from the new Solo film.
Yeah.
Kind of like that galactic setup that sort of landed on a world, taken over it and made it their own kind of thing. So it's a very, very cool setup for a little bit of an urban vibe. They've got obviously the foam version of all their terrain, as you can see there, that kind of like plastic card style stuff. Then they've got some MDF pieces as well, added onto all the different buildings. And there's also some acrylics in there as well. So it's very, very colourful, very, very bright, very good for an immediate, amazing looking table on the tabletop. One of the big things about this stuff as well is that we've talked about it a little bit in the past, is that it kind of has too much of a clean look to it, but it does weather up very, very nicely. And all the sort of edges you see there with the white, they can easily be darkened down with washes or just pens and that as well. So it's terrain that's very, very versatile, but for someone who's setting up something like a tournament or trying to get their first gaming table down for something like Star Wars Legion, if you're new to miniatures gaming, this is something that is pretty good for you. So that
looks really nice. I also like the fact I'm really getting into where they're headed on this pre-textured terrain that you just pop it together for tournament organizers. Absolutely spot on.
I don't think so. I was just going to say that I don't think it being too clean is that much of a problem. I could almost see that fitting in well with the Clone Wars, the Clone Troopers.
Yeah.
For
historical gamers, we have a real treat for you coming up. So next week is one of the anniversaries of the Battle of Kursk.
Yep.
Is that next week? Yes, July 2nd. Yeah, and on July 2nd...
That's not next week, is it?
Is that not next week?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
It's 2 weeks away.
It's
2 weeks away, thank you.
It's 2 weeks away. Right, so we have... is it 2 weeks away?
Yeah.
Begins the 2nd of July.
Yeah, yes. We have one more week of June
July
left.
the 2nd, so...
Yes.
And on the 2nd of July, we have a major Kursk series starting by Oriskany. So Oriskany is looking in depth at the gaming systems involved and what we can use to play out Kursk. The largest tank battle in all of history, from what I can gather.
John must be a happy chappy.
Right. So Justin and John are going to sit down with Jim and bring us up to speed on what we can expect on July 2nd.
Hi, I'm Gemma from Battlefoam, and you're watching The Weekender on beastsofwar.com.
So yeah, as I've said, Kursk.
Yeah.
Biggest tank battle that ever there was.
Yeah, you couldn't resist jumping in on this one.
Oh, got to. Jim, welcome. Welcome back on, man. The Battle of Kursk, it's the largest tank battle that has ever been in the world, yeah?
Okay, so here we go. We have arrived at, depending on how you measure it, the very top of the mountain when it comes to historical wargaming.
Yeah.
Star Wars has the Battle of Endor. Fantasy has the Battle of Pelennor Fields. We're at the 70th anniversary now of the Battle of Kursk.
Yeah.
You're close, War. You're still at that silver level of the Grognard. Kursk is, historians pretty much consider the largest battle that has ever taken place in the sweep of human history, period.
Oh!
Tanks or otherwise.
Yeah.
If you include the full scope of the battle, which most histories published in the West don't, unfortunately, you're looking at upwards of 4 million people. About 10,000 armored fighting vehicles, that's tanks, self-propelled guns, self-propelled howitzers, assault guns, stugs, the whole 9 yards. Something like 5,000 aircraft and 15,000 guns. To put that into some kind of quick perspective, that's 3 times the size of Normandy, 2 times the size of battles like Berlin, Stalingrad, Verdun, and the Somme, 12 times the size of the Battle of El Alamein, 20 times the size of the Battle of Waterloo, and 40 times the size of Operation Market Garden.
Oh, holy hell.
So, yeah, it's definitely a big one.
We're talking like 40k scale skirmish.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Trust the Russian front to generate such a big fight, though.
So I can now understand why we're looking at this. Not only because of the significance of it being so huge, but why we're looking at it from a gaming perspective. Jim, where do you start in trying to explore something that's just as massive as that?
Okay, well, you start by writing a 5-part article series about it.
Well played.
So when we're putting together this article series, I sat down and I started writing, and I'm like, sometimes there's too much history and not enough gaming in it, and but this time that wasn't really a problem because the battle is just so huge that there's no way to even scratch the history. So you have to go straight into gaming. So to answer your question from an oblique angle, perhaps a little bit, we're going to be doing gaming from a number of different levels in Kursk. So remember way back when we did the 4 levels of wargaming. In the Kursk article series, we're going to be doing wargaming from at least 3 of those levels, starting off briefly with operational level gaming. This is where each one of your pieces is perhaps a division, a regiment in size. Your hexes are several miles across. Down to command tactical, unit-based tactical gaming, and then all the way down into your standard typical miniature tabletop gaming. We're trying to give people just a little bit of background on, Kursk, obviously, but also maybe some inspiration to try the Eastern Front in general. This is why I was so happy when you guys started to work on your 8th Guards Army back in the day. When you're if you're going to call yourself a World War II wargamer, you should at least try or look into doing the Eastern Front to a certain extent. And we've had this conversation before with Justin and John during the Barbarossa series. You can actually sit down and crunch the numbers and do the math. 85% of World War II takes place in the East. If you're going to read about, know about, wargame a little bit about World War II, you really need to take a look at the Eastern Front.
So if we do a bit of a summary of where you're going to lead us over these 5 parts, Jim, what's the route we're taking?
Okay, so like an outline of the article series.
So if we do,
okay, well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like so we well, to put it into perspective, we have the 75th anniversary is coming up. Okay, this is kind of like the sequel to Stalingrad, is it?
Okay, yeah. So if we're looking at like the background of how Kursk gets started, which we go over kind of briefly in part 1, but the background of Kursk very, very, very quickly kind of goes like this. So the Germans invade the Soviet Union as part of Operation Barbarossa in June of 1941. They do amazingly well. They score some of the largest, again, you can measure it by just the number of people. The largest battles and some of the largest victories. I'm speaking about Kiev in particular. Some of the largest victories in the history of ever. Just colossal. How the Red Army didn't just collapse, it did collapse. It collapsed, it was rebuilt, collapsed again, it was rebuilt several times over. This leads into Typhoon, Operation Typhoon, in October of 41, where the Germans start to get slowed down. And then finally the Soviet counterattacks in the front of Moscow in December of 41. The Germans actually get kicked in the teeth a little bit. This is important because this sets up a bit of a pattern that leads into Kursk, which is what the Soviet soldiers actually used to call the winter German versus the summer German. We can always beat them in the winter. They're not that tough in the winter. But in the summer, they are a monster. No matter what weapons we have, no matter what generals we have, no matter how brave we are, we always lose. They're always behind us. They're always on flanks. How do these summer Germans always defeat us? It comes around in 1942. The Germans hoped to knock out the Soviet Union in the first year of the war. Didn't happen. This leads into the second year. We'll get them the next time around. This leads into Case Blue, their next big operation, in the summer of 42. This sets up a second big pattern that leads into Kursk. Whereas in the first year of the war, the Germans hit the entirety of the Soviet Union from the White Sea to the Black Sea. Let's get the whole show going. In 1942, the Soviets are a little stronger. The Germans are a lot weaker. They have to focus mostly in the center, but really down in the south. This is Case Blue, which leads to Stalingrad. So we have Stalingrad, and we all know what kind of happened at Stalingrad. The Germans get kind of cut off, surrounded. This opens up a big gash in their line, and it's a huge defeat for the Germans. So do we have that map available that we can bring up?
Yep, we have the map right here,
Okay, cool. So if that map is up on the screen, and if you guys can kind of see what I'm looking at, you see Stalingrad over there to the east.
Yep.
You see these two big red Soviet arrows kind of pinching in from the north and the south. This encapsulates, everyone knows that the 6th Army was in Stalingrad. Also, about half of 4th Panzer Army is in that same pocket. Somehow that always gets left out.
Yeah.
So it's even worse than most people say it is. So if you can kind of picture like the German line as like a series of units, and then those two arrows kind of close in around it and seal off that pocket, what you've got is not just 6th Army and half of 4th Panzer Army is gone. You've got this hole in the German line now that's hundreds of miles wide.
Yeah.
Stalingrad, as bad as it was, should have, would have, could have been literally 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Because this is the first stage of what Zhukov's really trying to do. He closes in this pocket, he opens up this huge gash, and now what he's looking at, what he's trying to do, is to launch this gigantic right hook from where that pocket is closed off down to the southwest, to catch, to reach the Sea of Azov, to reach the Black Sea.
Yeah.
And this cuts off everything that you see further down to the southeast, down into the Donbass, down into the Caucasus, down towards the Caspian Sea. So the 6th Army is already gone. Half of 4th Panzer Army is already gone. The Germans are probably going to lose if this plan comes to full fruition. If this plan really comes to full fruition, 17th Army is gone. The rest of the 4th Panzer Army is gone. All of von Kleist's 1st Panzer Army is gone. Everything that's down there in the Caucasus is gone. You're talking about half of the entire southern German wing. You're talking about half of their striking power and 40% of their divisions. 100 German divisions are wiped off the order of battle if this works. World War II ends in 1944 with a completely Soviet-dominated Central Europe.
Yeah.
You don't have a East and West Germany, you have an East and West France.
Yeah.
The Berlin was in Paris somewhere. This doesn't happen because of one man, sort of, Field Marshal Erich von Manstein. We've talked about him before. This is, obviously, you ask, people who know, top 5 German generals, top 5 anyone's generals. Rommel never makes the list. It's always guys like von Manstein.
Yeah.
The invasion of France, 1940, was his idea, and he invented the Stug. So,
my hero!
Your
brother. My hero! Right, I'm glad you enjoyed the show.
So as the Soviets are pouring through this gigantic gap, Manstein is a reconsolidation. Believe it or not, Hitler has kind of sat down and kind of sucking his thumb a little bit. He never admits this publicly, but he realized that Stalingrad was kind of his fault.
Yeah.
He's not. For a brief window of time, the German generals actually have a little bit of operational freedom. And Manstein is like a judo fighter. Is probably the best example I can come up with.
Yeah.
He is super mobile. He's on like the balls of his feet. And as the Soviets are coming at him, like in judo, you almost like if someone throws a punch at you, you grab the wrist and you kind of use the enemy's momentum against him. You put him into a bit of a hip toss. He's using this. So he's doing this with divisions. He's doing this with hundreds of thousands of men.
Yeah.
And he's using the Soviet momentum against them. I think historian David Dowding, I think that was him. I'll have to look that up to get the exact quote. But the quote is, to find a better example, or to find an equal example of mobile defensive warfare, you have to go back to General Lee in the Wilderness, 1864.
Right.
The American War. He's absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
He's out 10-1, and somehow he doesn't win, but he slows the Soviets down.
Yeah.
This culminates in what they call Manstein's backhand blow.
Mm-hmm.
It's this masterpiece of a counterattack. He takes Kharkov. Kharkov's changed hands within 1 month, twice already, more than the entire war, but just now in February and March of 1943. Excuse me. So this huge shelf of Soviet advance from east to west. You can see with those super simplified gray arrows on that map there, that he has knocked down the center of it, and he's knocked down the southern part of it. This whole long-winded, convoluted conversation gets to the point where there's one big piece of this Soviet gained territory, Soviet liberated territory that Manstein was not able to take back, was not able to slow down very much. This leads into this big slice of ground that's left is to the north, and that is centered around the Soviet city of Kursk.
Kursk,
And
yes.
that's the Kursk.
Okay, yeah. So that has set the scene then.
It generally I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that set the scene. So we've got this classic case of an unstoppable force versus an immovable object then.
Yeah, so right after Manstein's backhand blow, what they call the Rasputin Assassin is what the Soviets called it. And it's basically the rain.
Yeah.
The Eastern Front has this reputation that it's really mobile in the winter and is really mobile in the summer and really mobile, and that's it. And everything has to stop during the winter. During the winter, it was very mobile because the ground was frozen and the ground was hard. Where the Eastern Front really stops and has to take a break is during the fall and during the spring.
Yeah.
So that's when the rains come and everything turns into mud.
Mm-hmm.
So after all this, the dust starts to settle. After Stalingrad, during the spring rainy season, Germans are looking at the map. They're saying, I can't believe what just happened at Stalingrad, and I can't believe we actually sort of survived. That was incredible. Okay, what are we going to do for the summer of 43? These previous patterns I was talking about, where it was, okay, the Germans hit the Soviets with everything they had across the entire front in 41. They could only hit a small part in 42. And now in 43, they have to pick a certain point.
Yeah.
And they look around at the map and they have the perfect target. They have the Kursk salient. A little bit too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The Soviets are, I'm not going to get into all the espionage of it, but the Soviets have plenty of warning. The target is super obvious. When you have this gigantic bulge that extends out of your territory into the enemy's territory, it's called a salient in military terms.
Yeah.
These are the most dangerous places on any battlefield for both sides.
Yeah.
Number one, they're springboards for an attack because you're already deep into the enemy's territory. But number two, they're very, very vulnerable because they can get attacked from the sides.
Yes.
And closed off. And this is what the Germans were trying to do. Germans took several months between March and July of 43 to build up absolutely everything they could to put into this one monster attack. They called it the Kesselschlacht. They wanted another cauldron battle. So in 1941, they hit the Soviet Union with 3 million men, 3,000 tanks, and about 2,000 aircraft. Now in 1943, they're going to hit about 1 million men, 2,500 tanks and self-propelled guns, about 2,000 aircraft. So maybe like half that size of that army, equals that size of the army in certain terms or whatever, but just to give comparison to what happened in 1941. Except here, they're not attacking the entire Soviet Union with that. They're attacking the Kursk salient, which, by the way, is almost exactly the size of Northern Ireland.
That size there.
Doesn't that put it into perspective for you? That is our country. That's salient.
Yeah. Although it does look
take
like
Northern Ireland off the map, turn it on its side.
Yeah.
Put it in the middle of southern Russia. That's the Kursk salient, about 110 miles north to south, about 75 miles deep. Germans are going to hit that with about half of what they hit all of Russia, all the Soviet Union with 2 years ago.
Oh my
give you an
word!
idea of how dead this battlefield is going to be. Like I said, the Soviets are warned by the Lucy spy ring and the OKH. They have spies with an Ultra. Ultra warns them right out of Bletchley Park. Plus the target's super obvious. They have months to prepare. They see this coming, and they prepare accordingly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as far as unstoppable force versus immovable object, that's a really good way to put it.
I think as well.
Soviet.
If I can just quickly interject as well.
Yeah.
The fact that the salient's there, that's not just guys standing around doing nothing. I'm sure, Jim, as you'll probably bounce off me very soon on it, the amount of defenses that were set up in the salient were unreal.
Yeah.
The front line was something like 5 kilometers deep.
Wait, so of stuff.
Yeah. So like the most front line of defenses in the salient was like 5 kilometers deep.
Yeah.
And that was anti-tank guns, minefields, tanks, everything. That was just a big wall of steel and trenches, and then behind that was another big wall of steel and trenches, and then behind that another one.
Yeah, for 5 kilometers.
This extended from let's say here to Ballymena, what, 25 miles, 30 miles?
Oh wow, that's in and around this, or like a straight line across it, or
no,
what?
all through it, layered lines, all the way through it. So from here to Ballymena would have been nothing but minefields, guns, men, tanks, artillery, everything, just all of that just bunched up to wait for the Germans to turn up.
It sounds like the last place you'd want to attack.
But if you think, if they have all that power there...
He's quoted in at least 2 books by Manstein and Guderian, where he sets his plan up and they're going to do it. And then in June, Hitler starts to talk about it some more and more. And then finally Hitler's just like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. They called it Operation Citadel by that point.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Operation Citadel. The entire idea makes my stomach turn over.
Yeah.
The Germans knew this was going to be an absolute mess. But by then they didn't really have a choice. So the Soviets had to capitalize on Stalingrad. The Germans were never going to hand them another victory like that.
Yeah.
And they had to win now. They had to beat that summer German. Could they beat the summer German? That was not the point of that earlier segue. The Germans, on the other hand, were already losing the war. There's the smart people knew. We're talking about the summer of 43 by this point.
Yeah.
The Americans are in. The Battle of El Alamein has already taken place. They're losing in North Africa. Normandy's only, a matter of time. They have to win somewhere. They have to score some kind of massive success in order to maintain any kind of control over any kind of strategic, picture, or to get anything out of this war. This was the victory the Germans had to have. So both sides knew this fight was coming. Both sides had months to prepare. Both sides needed this win.
Yeah.
And holy hell were they prepared to pay for it. We're talking about Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
The phrase human life doesn't even enter into their vocabulary. Okay. So all of this sets up a battle, the likes of which the human race has simply never seen. And God willing, we'll never see again.
Yeah. So what game systems are we going to look at, Jim? I don't know how you segue from something like that, man. It's horrible, but we're going to game it anyway.
The human race would never survive another battle like this. If you're going to have another battle like this, battles take place within wars. And if you're going to have a battle the size of Kursk, that means that the war has to be a little bit bigger than that. By the time you have a war that size with today's weapons, if anyone's writing that article series, they're going to paint it on the side of a cave somewhere.
Yeah.
There's just no way we're walking away from that one.
Yep.
So to game it, like I said, we talk about the operational scale a little bit. Like, here's the entire Battle of Kursk. Your map is 110 miles wide or whatever. A little bit longer because you've got the Kharkov, the Belgorod Shelf in the south, and you've got the Orel salient to the north. So your map's like 200 miles tall and maybe 150 miles across, where you set up these successive belts that John's talking about.
Yeah.
And you're the German player and you try to smash in there. Are there other plans? Like Justin was saying, this sounds like the worst place you'd ever want to attack.
Yeah.
Okay, Herr General, let's see your friggin' plan. This is the level of gaming that you have to be at if you're going to. Well, maybe if they had gone straight through the center, or if they had attacked everything in the south or everything in the north, they have some kind of different plan. This is the kind of wargaming that you have to do if you really want to explore those kind of options. We talk about that a little bit. For large-scale tactical, this is going to be very predictable at this point, almost as predictable as the German attack at Citadel. The name of the game is literally Battle Group Kursk. That was their first big supplement for Battle Group. They won one of the awards in Beast of War, Game of the Year, Historical Game of the Year in 2014.
Yep.
We're going to use Battle Group Kursk, although we're going to use it in 15 millimeter. However, we do spend a lot of time also talking about Flames of War.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to talk about Flames of War for Kursk as well is Flames of War has certain strengths, and every game has certain strengths. And for a battle like Kursk, Flames of War's strengths really play to what you're trying to do. You're talking about very large battles. You're talking about a lot of tanks in the battle. It sounds like a great system for Flames of War, and it certainly is.
Yeah.
However, that said, people have this idea that Kursk was a tank battle. It wasn't. Like most battles, 90% of it is with infantry.
Yeah.
And the belts that John was talking about before, what these belts are anchored on are these hundreds of little tiny villages and state farms and little railroad junctions, like a place called Provka. Hold on, we're not there yet. These tiny little hamlets and towns and state farms or whatever, the Soviets fortify the heck out of these things, dig these anti-tank pits, dig these trenches, lay in something like 4 million mines in all around a battlefield the size of Ireland.
Wow.
So you've got these little fortified strong points, these little towns, these little state farms that are held by Soviet Guards infantry, especially in the south.
Yeah.
They have to get attacked by SS Grenadiers, divisions like Großdeutschland Panzer Grenadiers, German assault pioneers. That's basically their armored assault infantry. You've got these savage little infantry battles with elite infantry on both sides, or at least very, very veteran infantry on both sides. In these little built-up areas, a lot of woods, believe it or not, a lot of these small towns and state farms. These are games that are perfect, I feel, for systems like Chain of Command and Bolt Action.
Yeah.
These are your big 28mm infantry-heavy games. Don't let the fact that Kursk has this reputation of this gigantic tank battle step. Big part of that, but there's also this huge dimension of attacking infantry in prepared positions, anti-tank guns, and that's where you get into these infantry-heavy games like Bolt Action and Command.
Sounds awesome. It sounds absolutely awesome.
If I remember right, Jim, the tank battle at Kursk was a complete accident, wasn't it? When we get to talk about Prokhorovka.
Yep. Nobody was planning on it, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, so can you describe to me what the features of Kursk, the features of the Battle of Kursk are then? Or, it's...
Well, yeah, we've touched on it a little bit. First off, it's just the gigantic size of the battle.
Yeah.
3 German armies versus 3 Soviet fronts, and that's in the first phase.
Yeah.
That's not even like the main. We'll get into that in a second. The Soviet defenses, John was absolutely right. These are the thickest defenses ever built. You've got tons of new equipment. This is what everyone really likes about Kursk.
Yeah.
This is Christmas morning and Santa. Everyone's been a very good boy this year.
Yeah.
Everyone gets brand new toys under the tree. You've got the Panther, which didn't work. You got the Ferdinand Elephant, which didn't work. You've got the Brumbar, the Grizzly Bear, roughly translated, very roughly translated. The Nashorn. The Germans have these remote-controlled mine tanks.
Yeah, they're cute.
Like these remote, not the Goliaths that everyone's kind of familiar with. These they almost look like old Mark I's. You drive them out there by remote control, and then it would like leave off these explosives. Then you try to drive the tank back, and then the explosives would go off and set off all the mines. You have the HS-129 attack. Are we still there?
Yeah, we're still here, Jim. Yep.
The HS-129 ground attack aircraft. This was the German A-10, or the German attempt at an A-10.
Yeah.
You have the Ju-87G. This is the new Stuka that kind of gives up on the bombs, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And instead they install these big 37mm autocannon pods under the wings.
Yeah.
They turn it into a straight-out tank buster. This is where you have Hans Rudel, the Stuka ace. He gets like, I don't remember how many T-34 kills.
It's over 100.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
well over
it's
the 100.
Yeah.
That's mad.
You have the ISU-152 assault gun. This is my version of the Stuka.
Yeah.
Mine's going to be bigger and better. This thing is
and you cannot break it.
Horror show.
Yeah.
Ask John about what the ISU-152 is. This is what the Stug fantasizes about. When the Stug goes to bed and looks up, he's got a little poster of a ISU-152. I could be like that one day. The Soviets called this thing the animal killer because this was the point of the war where the Germans were naming everything after an animal.
Yeah.
We got the tiger, we got the panther, we got the grizzly bear, the nashorn, the elephant, the lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, the Soviets don't care.
Yeah.
You got an animal, we can kill it dead. With this thing, and you try it on the you try it in miniature, and you'll definitely see what I'm talking about. The Soviets' defenses that John was talking about, this interconnected web that are built into these general bands, and then behind that is another band, and behind that is another band, and so on and so forth. The German attack gets stalled in these, and then you have these massive Soviet tank counterattacks. It starts off with 2nd Tank Army in the north. It starts off with my favorite Soviet general, Mikhail Efimovich Kharkov's first tank army, later first Guards tank army, counterattacking in the south. And eventually they have to send in the 5th Guards tank army versus 2nd SS Panzer Corps. This is the Battle of Prokhorovka. That is not so much the climax, but definitely the high point of the Battle of Kursk. And this is only the halftime show.
Yeah.
As far as like wrapping up like the features of Kursk, most Western histories point at Prokhorovka and they say, the Germans lost at Prokhorovka, and that's, the end of the Battle of Kursk. First of all, the Germans didn't really lose at Prokhorovka, and secondly, it did not end the Battle of Kursk.
Yeah.
This is the halftime show. This is when the Germans have thrown absolutely everything that their nation and empire could possibly throw at the Soviets. They have the largest battle mankind has ever seen, and they come up short. That's not the end of the battle. That's when Zhukov picks up a handful of dice, leans across the table, and with a smile most unpleasant says, "That was a good try. Now it's my turn." And you get into Operations Kutuzov and Rumyatsev, and it's the Battle of Kursk Phase 2. And that's actually even a little bit bigger.
So, Jim, 5 parts we're looking forward to. It starts on July 2nd. Okay, so Monday, July 2nd it starts. Do you want to give us a quick overview of each of the 5 parts?
Yeah, super fast. I don't want to chew up all the time here. So part 1 is, like I said, the background, the general Soviet and German plans and how that was going to work, and the different gaming systems from operational all the way down to tactical.
Yeah.
Part 2 is we do the assault from the north. This is Admiral. Holy crap! Where's my coffee? This is Colonel General Walter Model. Some wargamers might know him, or you might, if you've ever seen the movie of A Bridge Too Far. This is the big German commander. He would be the German commander during Operation Market Garden.
Yeah.
He's got the 9th Army in the north. So if we remember, the salient comes down like this big bulge extending to the west. The Germans are hitting this primarily from the north and the south. They want to meet at Kursk and pinch off this big Soviet pocket. So in part 2, we talk about the attack from the north. That's when you see your elephants, your grizzly bears, and you have this gigantic battle that takes place in the north. In part 3, we do the same thing in the south. This is Manstein's Army Group South, Hoth's 4th Panzer Army, and Army Detachment Kempf, getting 7th Guards, 1st Guards Tank Army, and eventually 5th Guards Tank Army. This even larger battle to the south, and that's where you get to Prokhorovka. Prokhorovka we handle specifically in part 4. The name of the article is actually The Myth of Prokhorovka.
Yeah.
We want to set the record straight on a few things.
Yeah.
Because it is the largest tank battle. This is the part where you were actually correct before. Prokhorovka is the largest tank battle that probably there will ever be.
Yeah.
John was right. It definitely wasn't really part of anyone's plan. It was, in fact, the Soviets having to change their plan in a bit of a flurry. It wasn't supposed to happen the way it was, but it did. It's not as big as people say it was, but it's still the biggest.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a German victory, but it did kind of stop their final advance during Operation Citadel. We go over all this in part. And then in part 5, we have Zhukov's counterstrike. Again, Prokhorovka didn't end Kursk, and certainly this is where you get the real stuff that you want to laugh at. Certainly, it wasn't the Allied landings in Sicily.
Yeah.
Because while Kursk is happening, and during the exact, I think it was July 10th, right as Prokhorovka is just about to get started, that's actually July 12th, you have the Americans and the British landing in Sicily. And Hitler kind of gets spooked, and he says, okay, we got to start pulling some divisions out of Russia to defend Italy and Sicily in the south. And some people will say that kind of helped end the Battle of Kursk. Well, first of all, the Battle of Kursk doesn't end until the middle of August.
Yeah.
And number 2, those divisions that supposedly got pulled out of Russia to fight in Sicily never made it out of Russia. Because as soon as they get back to the trailheads, those previously mentioned Soviet offensives get started. They say, okay, never mind Sicily, the hell with them. They're on their own. Turn back around. You're going back to the bad side of old Mother Russia, as they say.
Right. Guys, there you have it. It kicks off on July 2nd. We're a massive 5-part series looking at the gaming of the Battle of Kursk. Jim, it'd be great to get you back on the show, maybe around the halfway point of the series, just to to look at what has been written at that point, maybe in a little more detail, and learn a little bit more about it. So, but this is fantastic, Jim. Thank you very much for coming on and telling us all about it, mate. And absolutely. Yeah, we're going to get ready for. Well, I was thinking for tank battles, but this is like everything is going into this.
This isn't tank battles, that's for sure.
Awesome. Right, we'll be right back after this. So stay tuned for Kursk. It's on its way.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a tanker, you're gonna love this one.
Yeah, or just Treadhead in general.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Right. Ben, Kickstarters. You've picked a couple of doozies for us this week.
Yeah, so the first one of these we're going to be looking at is from Thundergriff Games, and this is called Tang Garden. And we had talked about it a little bit on a weekend or a couple of months ago, I think, a couple of weeks ago now, anyway. And this is a game for 1 to 4 players, so it can be played solo, where you are working to extend and grow your masterful garden, so that you can impress the visitors that are coming your way.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, it's for 1 to 4 players, and what you'll do during the game is you can either extend the garden as it is and build up the new tiles in the game space that you've got allowed to you, or you can start to decorate the tiles on the area, adding in lots of really cool looking 3D elements as well.
Mm-hmm.
And these can only be put in once you've met a certain selection of different conditions within the game, which is very cool. Then at some point, visitors will come to your garden and they will give you points based on the way that you have presented it to them. So if you've got impressive vistas, or if you've got certain animals or certain decorations in there, then you'll score big points. You can also use what's called lantern tokens in the game, which are like kind of like the tactical edge to this game. So when you use these at opportune moments, you can get extra victory points for having the most beautiful garden at the right time with the right visitor in the right place. This game just looks, which is just like an amazing panorama, an amazing thing that you sit down on the table. Playing a game like this, you're effectively creating something each time you sit down that is a little bit different from every time you've gone through it, which is really nice with this. The thing that I really liked about this as well is that there are Kickstarter that is looking towards upgrades for the main game rather than just adding lots of new.
Yeah, rather than just adding lots of new stuff.
So they've done some really fantastic stuff. Yeah. So they've done upgrades to some of the components here. So you've got really nice metal coins, decorative pieces, and all that. They've got nice card sleeves and everything going to the game as well, which is very nice. So yeah.
One thing I'm seeing here, which I think is quite cool, is you can download the rulebook straight away.
Yeah.
You can play it free on tabletopia.com, and you can play it on Tabletop Simulator.
Yes.
So you can actually start experimenting with the game before you maybe jump in and pledge on it.
Yeah, that's one I may actually have to give a go. It looks like everything I'd be interested in digging into. And I saw some elements of, it's not just that, building the garden. There are elements of Asiatic folklore as well being brought into it on the side. I don't know if they were add-ons or not.
Yeah, it's for me, I just love seeing innovations coming into the industry. I love seeing companies taking chances on new styles of gameplay. So obviously it's a little bit difficult to speak until you've played it. And when we talk about innovations of gameplay, a lot of it is in the eye of the beholder, I would assume. It's because a lot of gameplay elements are derived. So the moment you introduce a dice into something, you'll say, well, what's innovative about a dice? Well, actually, there can be a lot innovative about how a dice is used. It's and how you and how the results of a dice are combined. Like you take Mythic Battles, for example, the mechanic where you build your dice pool from the results.
That controlled chaos that you get.
That there's an innovation there. So this is a game. This is a game while the theme of it is not particularly jumping out at me.
It jumps out to me.
I'm very happy, because it is in the eye of the beholder. I'm very happy to see it.
As I say, it's one of those games that when you sit down to see this at the end, you start from nothing and create something nice at the end. It's one of the simple pleasures of something like Carcassonne, Sky, and games like that.
Yeah.
So.
It is something I'm finding. I'm enjoying more games which are less direct conflict.
Yes.
Because, we're wargamers. We have games where we have units versus units taking each other out. Games like this are very different because it's more of a subtle tactical play against your opponents that you're actually playing through the game, and it's less just I killed your guys.
Well, it's a term where you see conflict without combat.
Yes.
And that is something I love. Yeah.
And I'm with Ben on this. The creative aspect of this, the fact that you're starting with a blank sheet, and at the end of it, you could end up with something amazing. I think that's interesting. That feeds back into the old loves of things like SimCity and stuff like that.
I don't think anyone could play this with me though.
Why?
Because I would bore the living daylights out of everyone by going, well, this one time in China.
Well, there's one time at Bandcamp.
During the war.
Okay, next up we have there's 17 days left on Tang Garden, so if you're interested, go and get stuck into that one. Next up we have a game by Newbie Games. 20 days left on this one. It's Evil Core, probably.
Nope,
Evil Corp.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. What is it?
So yeah, this is a game for 2 to 6 players where you take control of, as you might imagine, evil corporations.
Yeah.
But the twist to this is that each of these evil corporations is trying to save the world, just not you.
Right.
They're trying to save the world for their elite. And all these kind of things like that, making sure all the artists and the scientists survive. Doesn't matter about you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you're going to be doing is it's a mix of whole different style of mechanics. So you've got take that, hand management, and area control in here as well. You'll be trying to enact your grand plan throughout the game by taking control of areas of the board, taking cards off other players, interrupting their projects, sending agents to go and steal information from them and things like that. All of the CEOs play very, very differently, so it's got asymmetrical gameplay built into there as well. One of them is actually based on Elon Musk.
Right.
And he actually saying, well, it's a little bit close to the bone, this one, but I thought that was very cool. A really cool looking game that's got a very nice stylish look to it as well. It feels like a game that is very, very based inside its thematic nature as well, which is very cool. So it's very nice to see this coming there. And as I say, it's got some really nice mechanics and stuff like that. Take that is always nice to see, but done in a different way. So I like the way that each of the different agents are used within the game to try and take cards off people and sort of stop their plans, rather than it just being directly saying no to someone like that and things like that. Hand management is also interesting because as you go through the game, you'll increase your hand size, so you'll be able to add a lot more sort of backup plans into your plans as you go forward. And then of course there's the area control element as well, so you'll be spreading out across the globe and try to take your businesses to different areas of the continents and stuff like that and spread your reach. So yeah, a very interesting looking game. It's got a little of interesting sort of stylistic choices to it when it comes to like the add-ons and the ways that you can pick up the game in different styles. So yeah, there's lots of different ways for you to get involved with this one, and it's got some really nice stuff that they've done beyond just the so they've actually done some really cool trailers and stuff like that, where they've done some like mini movies and things.
This one seems like it's right up my street. I love games where you can actually play the bad guys.
Yeah. Even when they're trying to be the good guys, which is the theme here.
You know,
so
sometimes it's good to be bad.
Yeah. I this one leaves me a little bit cold.
Really?
If honestly, yeah, I'm not a fan of the art direction. But again, I know that's a subjective, a very subjective thing. The look of the game, it lacks I don't know. Maybe my desires in life are changing. It's just it's very cold.
I think it's deliberately cold, and I think that art style. I actually rather like the art style. It reminds me of some of the more abstract video games out there, like The Black Watchman, or what's that one you always play about spreading disease all over the world?
Oh, Plague Inc.
Yeah, that sort of more abstract video
play
game.
the disease and evolve it across the world.
I don't know. There's something about it. It just makes it a little bit.
All right, let's put it this
forgetful.
way.
You know, it's not it's not particularly grabbing me, that one. I would find it.
So what would sell you on this might be the gameplay then.
Yes, this one it would all come down to the gameplay, because the art direction is not doing it for me whatsoever. The components are all right. You know,
it's an abstract game,
yes,
and which I think is good for this form where you are this shadowy corporation, not seeing people as people. You're seeing everything as assets and data.
That's true, but the gameplay would need to rock on this one, because it's ultimately all going to come down to the gameplay. Which, to be fair, is like that for most games. But other games, you know, like Tang Garden, you know, there's a visual aspect to Tang Garden which is ultimately going to draw you in. Whereas there's nothing in this that is particularly drawing me into it.
Well, what if it was reskinned to be a bit more 80s or a bit more like Austin Powers sort of style, a bit more comedy villain rather than the seriousness?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. It's one of those ones where I can put forward what I'm not getting about it, but I'm not going to be able to sit and put forward the solution to it.
Yeah,
that's a whole other show it's to try and come up with that.
It sounds more like a issue of personal taste on this.
It certainly is. It certainly is, because until I play it, I couldn't truly go to town on it. But certainly from first impressions perspective, it's it's somewhat lacking. It's somewhat the abstraction of it. There's nothing about it that makes me feel like I'm part of a corporation. It just looks like looking at a fundamentally oversimplified computer terminal user interface. It's
which I think fun. Actually fits the theme.
Yeah, I think that's meant to be that you're kind of like having this overview of the world and trying to controlling everything from the seat shadows.
I'm just finding it difficult to get the flavor from it. But that's on a purely subjective kind of first impressions kind of a thing. Anyway, thank you for bringing those to me, Ben. Tangarden, thumbs up. Evil Corp, don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it's
I'd go for it.
Right,
and it is fully funded.
Tangarden gets 2.
Yeah,
guys. Tomorrow, come and join us on backstage. We have we're talking about actual components. So we're talking about miniatures and the recent trend of rescaling, custom scaling of miniatures, and the ins and outs of that. What's the pros and cons of it, and about using miniatures as across different games and the like. So we're going to have a healthy debate among the backstagers tomorrow on that. So if you fancy supporting beastsofwar.com, supporting the community, keeping everything alive, we can't do it without backstagers. We just can't. We can't afford power. We can't afford anything really. So it's backstagers that keep it going and keep it alive. So if you do enjoy the show and you fancy more of the show and keeping the show kicking around, joining backstage is a big help for that.
Yeah.
Right. Big thanks to Ben, Justin, Sam,
and Casper.
And Casper's banging away above our heads. We will catch you next week, and until then, have a great week of gaming. Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and be sure to check out beastsofwar.com for the latest gaming news and gaming Let's Plays. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.